So now we're going to take everything we've learned in the last 9 videos, put all that information together and see if we can come up with our own flyer that we can also export into other social media sizes and other print sizes as well. So let's go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and open up an 8.5 by 11 document. Let's make sure, let's do this in a print format. It's easier to go from print to digital than digital to print. Let's go ahead and make this inches. 8.5 by 11, kind of your standard flyer size. It'll be easy to change to pixels at a later date. Let's assume this one does not need bleed, so we're not going to do any of that. Color mode, let's set that to CMYK. We're going to make sure it's set on high resolution, and we're going to click OK. Okay, so now what? Let's go ahead and get our photo for our ad in here. Let's go ahead and import a photo. I have this one already ready that I got from the website called pexels.com. You can get some nice stock photography there. So we're going to go ahead and hold down the shift button. We're going to make this, let's crop this. Where is this going to look nice here? Let's make it the whole screen. That might be perfect. Okay, so I like that. I'm going to go ahead and do the rectangle tool. I'm just going to cover up everything outside of the artboard. It's just for me personally, so I don't have to see anything outside the artboard. That's great. So let's add some text to our ad. Let's make it dark. Let's do a nice dark gray. Click on the text tool. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Let's do our headline. So by local, period, by brush. Okay, I'm going to drag that out. Let's go ahead and choose our font. Let's do a nice bold font. Let's see, let's play around with some. Oh, I like that. Okay, let's put a little spacing between the lettering. That's a little too much spacing. Okay, let's go ahead and extend that out, make that a little bit bigger. We're going to have another line here. Let's say everything you need online. It's kind of your generic text, but get the idea. Let's go ahead and hold shift so that'll scale nicely down to a smaller size. Let's go ahead and make that a different font so it separates itself from the headline. Now we're going to make that, let's do Gill Sands, light. Let's make the weight a little bit heavier. Do regular. So now we have a nice headline. And I wonder, how can we make this headline pop a little bit? Let's add some color to some of this text. So I'm going to highlight local. I'm going to take your eyedrop tool. I'm going to highlight over this berry and bring out that color. Let's go ahead and do the period as well. I'm going to do the same thing with fresh. Let me see if I can bring some of that green, darker green in there. A little bit lighter. Okay, great, we are getting there. So let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit. We need some kind of contact info or a website. Let's go ahead and make a shape. And you notice how that image doesn't extend all the way down. In terms of, if I bring it up, there's white space created because the image actually ends there. But how can I extend that background a little bit? You know what I could do? Let's do a box shape down here, and that's where our website will go. So let's make this, I just made a rectangle shape. Let's do the eyedrop tool, and let's get another color out of here. How about this berry color? Oh, green's great. That's great. So I'm going to extend this up a little bit. And so let's add an outline box. So we're going to go down here. I want a white stroke. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this. And so I have my stroke. It's white. Make it a little off-white. Click OK. I would like to have rounded edges. So when I create the outline where my website's going to go, I want to have it be rounded. But first, when we go to stroke, click on stroke, let's make that a little thicker. And now to round the edges, I'm going to go to shape. I'm going to click up here. And actually, if you go back down to 0 and you click on this, it'll link all of the sides. So when you go up and down, you'll notice it will do all corners at the same time. And so I'm going to do very rounded, a pill shape button. And that was right here in the shape. That's how I was able to access that. And so let's put our website, www.localfresh.com. So we don't really need www these days, so let's try to do less is more. Let's go ahead and hold down Shift, make that smaller. So now we have this. And you know what, I have this stroke, but I just don't feel like the button's popping out very much, so let's put a solid background back there. So we have our stroke. Here's our fill, which is set to nothing. Let's go ahead and click on this and find a good button. Let's make that a little more raspberry color. Okay, we're going to make this text. We're going to make that white. That button's still not popping out enough to me, so let me add a drop shadow. So I'm going to select on this shape. I'm going to go to Effect. I'm going to go down to Stylize and Drop Shadow. So I'm going to do Preview so I can kind of see what it looks like. I don't need that much. Let's make it a little more transparent, a little more subtle. Let's do 50%. This blur, let's reduce the blur a little bit. I don't want it to go too far outside the edges. And I feel like I'm happy with that button, very happy. Okay, so I feel like this green bar is a little flat. I kind of want to add a little bit of decoration to it. So let's kind of take our pen tool and let's kind of make some diagonal shapes here. I'm going to complete my shape, and I'm going to take the eyedropper tool. I'm going to go over my green. It's going to be the same color, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to double click my fill and just make it a little bit darker so it stands out just enough to kind of be a pattern. I'm going to do Command C, Command V. Oops, I'm going to select my element, Command C, Command V, and I'm going to keep copying my element all the way across. So I'm going to create kind of a little bit of a pattern or outline to make that flat background a little more exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and select, I'm holding Shift and I'm selecting each one of these. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to group. And then now I'm going to right click again and I'm going to arrange and send this to the back. So that's going to send it all the way to the back, it's hidden. So now what we need to do is we need to take this element and this element and we're going to send all these to the back. So we're just kind of shifting different things around to make sure we have the right area. And you can always do shortcuts to move the layers around. Let's go ahead and zoom out, get that white. Let's kind of put our white bars on the top layer. So we're going to right click, arrange, send to the front. Let's go cover everything up. So I really like that. Let me select this image. Let's make this a little bit more transparent so it blends into the background. So let me go to my transparent tab, which I don't see it. So what we're going to do, if you don't see it on the right, go to Window and find it in your Options panel. And then we're going to make it a little more opaque, and that will blend in a little nicer. And we want to make sure this element, this font, is aligned perfectly with the button. Well, how do we do that? Let's go ahead and select the button, hold Shift, select Local Fresh, your text. We're going to go up to this Align panel, and if you can't find it, go to Window, Align, and we're going to do a Center Align. And so now it's all centered. We also want to make sure this text is centered as well. Let's go to Align. Let's also make sure the button and everything in the whole document is aligned to the center. Let's go ahead and click on these elements. Let's just move that up a little bit more. And I'm pretty happy with this ad. We spent, about 7 minutes, and we're able to put this together. And we can also resize this to Instagram, File, New. Let's do pixels. do 500 by 500. Kind of your standard Instagram post. We're going to go ahead and just get rid of those boxes. We're going to select all. We're going to Command Copy, Command C, and then Command V, or you can drag it. And then we're going to kind of hold Shift. Find a really good kind of setting. I like that right there. And what I can do, move this up a little bit, move this up a little bit. Actually make this image a little smaller so we have more room for our text. Let's make that a little bigger. Okay, let's put kind of white boxes, my white shape to kind of cover the edges up so I can kind of see what my final document will look like. Alright, there we go. That's not quite aligned how I like it, so let's go ahead and create a box. It's another cheat right here. Go ahead and create a colored box, colored shape. And see, that goes all the way to the edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this, hold Shift, select the headline, anything I want to be aligned. I'm going to go ahead and center align it, and then I'm going to align this box right back up to the lines, and everything is aligned to the center. It's kind of a cheat I use. Okay, so we're ready. Let's export this as a JPEG. Okay, and I make sure my Use Artboards is checkmarked. Export it. Let's export this as a RGB since it's Instagram. Click OK. And there's my Instagram post right here. Now let's go back to our flyer. This is in print mode. I'm not going to need bleed, so I'm ready to go. I'm going to select all. I'm going to create outlines, type, create outlines. I'm going to save as a PDF. Illustrator default, I'm going to unclick Preserve Illustrator. Don't need to worry about bleed for this particular document. Click OK, and we just created a flyer for print and an Instagram post in about less than 10 minutes. So hopefully you can apply everything you've learned in this class to do the same thing.